Good morning, guys. Back at it with another MLB DFS video. Good night overall, 2x. We kind of got screwed over with the San Fran Cincy game, but it didn't really matter much. Slater 1 for 3 with a solo homer. Wilmer Flores 3 for 4 with a homer. We ended up going with Logan Gilbert, who was the chalkiest guy on the slate, and 5 innings, 2 earned, 5 Ks, got the win. Whatever, I guess. Otani, probably the most electrifying home run I've ever seen. I was watching that game live, and they're down 3-1, just pimps the crap out of the ball, and he's celebrating like crazy. That was also a home run call of mine, so that really helped us. The one thing that screwed us over from the San Fran Cincy game, JD Davis had 2 on. I think it was only 1 out, and then they called the game. But I remember like the grounds crew, they were in the Reds dugout, kind of ready to go, and then JD Davis stepped into the box. So I was kind of like, just let Davis drive in a couple runs first. Give us a points, and that ended up not happening. I think they called the game like 2 hours later, but it was like top of the eighth. So I was kind of hoping they just waited out and finish it. But regardless, we cashed. It was a good day. Um, Funk kind of talked me into Griffin Canning, and he went ape shit, but he didn't get to 6. But whatever. That's kind of it. You got anything else?
I mean, nothing really stood out besides Cleveland. I mean, 1 through 4 absolutely nuked. Naylor, Rosario, Jimenez had 25. It was just disgusting to see. I hate Cleveland so much. But yeah, Canning was good. I wish we got to him, but I didn't like any of their pivots like with that much salary left. So just ended up on Gilbert. And the other thing is, I saw Pavetta at 7K, and I saw what he had been recently doing. And I was like, he's kind of interesting against Oakland. I would have never expected the freaking 60 piece he had, but I was maybe like 35. Um, but he was like virtually 1%, 0.5% in the big field contest. So, I mean, that wasn't really much of anything, not much else.
For whatever reason, I liked Gilbert because I hate Minnesota. Gilbert, he's like a young, good kid. He's going to be good in the future, and he's pretty decent now. I was kind of like box score watching the game because I was leaving work, and I'm like, I think like first inning, he had like 25 pitches. I'm like, this is how we're gonna lose. Like everyone's doing pretty well, and this guy's gonna screw it up for us. But he ended up getting the win, 5 Ks, 5 innings, good enough. All right. So pitching today is very interesting. It's a big slate again. Eovaldi, Brian Wu, Mitch Keller, Bailey Ober, Giolito, Hunter Brown, Bryce Elder, Taj Bradley, and the list goes on and on and on
And
and on. I thought I was done scrolling for a second, but pitching is interesting. There are some spots you can get to. Like, I mean, just look at this. Brian Wu, 8,100. That's gotta be a someone got fired for that because he's 29% owned. He's been in the mid to like high 30s. He actually hasn't been that bad, but where are you thinking of going to today?
yeah, I wrote down 5 guys initially. Said Wells, Wu, Ober, Giolito, Musgrove. I think my priority is going to be picking either side of this Seattle Minnesota game. I can just see it being like a 3-2 ball game. Hopefully, just get on the right side of it. We had a similar game last night, so I can just see something like that happening again. Wells is pretty interesting. 9,200's fair. He's got a quality start in 5 of his last 6. Dodgers are not an easy out ever, but he's got the 50-point upside. Um, if he can limit the walks today, looks like he hasn't gone over 2 walks in 4 starts. If he can limit that, keep the pitch count low, get the quality start, I think he can have a pretty good day. Giolito, I know you love Giolito, so maybe you can speak on him more than me, but he's got a crazy leash. He can go 7 if he's in check. The Mets haven't been good in 2 months, so maybe he gives like a home run to Lindor or Alonso. But if he can keep it under 3 earned runs, he can get you 40. And then Musgrove, who's been pretty good all year, to be honest. He's gone 6 innings, his last 6 starts. He's playing Toronto, who hasn't been good at run creation at some time. I think those guys are my priorities right now.
The one thing I will say about Giolito, the White Sox are going to be sellers, and actually I've seen rumors on trading Giolito to the Reds. You can gladly take him. This might be my last time being able to roster him as a White Sox pitcher. Recently, he hasn't been that bad, but I mean, he got 34 against St. Louis, 28 against Toronto, which is bad. He went 7 innings against the Angels. The game I went to against Boston, 6 innings pitched and 10 Ks. And obviously they didn't win. So if he would have gotten the win, he would have gotten over 50. So he has that upside. It's just can he limit the runs, limit the damage? Can the White Sox hit a ball against Cookie Carrasco? I don't know. How about Giolito for Ellie? Straight up. I'd take that in a heartbeat.
No thanks.
Brian Wu obviously looks the best. It's got to be a typo or something, or I have no clue.
It's an
29.
appropriate tag just because he hasn't gone over 40. But the floor is crazy.
Right. That's kind of what I was just gonna say too. But I mean, it's the other reason why I like it is I hate Minnesota, so it'd be kind of nice for Seattle to steal one. Um, Hunter Brown at 8-3. I don't really want to test that against in cores. Bryce Elder 8,900 against Arizona looks pretty interesting. He's kind of his last start, he had like negative fantasy points, but other than that, he's been serviceable. He's had a couple games where he's done great, but Elder's projected for 2%. Literally, Brian Wu is 29%. The next highest owned guy that I see, hold on, Jamison Tyone, and he's been bad. And it's only because he's 6,300 against Washington. So you can definitely get different today. Wu just seems like a good option because at 8,100 on this big of a slate, if he does fairly well, um, you know, you can get some good bats. Wells looks okay against the Dodgers. I don't really mind that. Joe Musgrove is Joe Musgrove against Toronto. Toronto is always hit or miss whenever we roster them. Bailey Ober strikeouts are there against Seattle. So I don't mind either side, like you said earlier, of Ober or Wu. How is Edward Cabrera done this year? Let's see. Apparently he's supposed to start. Oh yeah, he's getting activated today. All right. If you've played MLB The Show, Edward Cabrera is just a nasty pitcher to face. He's coming off the IL with a shoulder injury. I don't know how long his leash is. The game he got hurt, only 9 fantasy points against Kansas City. He had 30. His best game so far, 6 innings, 10 Ks, and the win against Oakland, 58. And he's been pretty serviceable besides that. Definitely a very interesting pivot, but that's about it.
Yeah, the other interesting thing we talked about before we started talking is Taj Bradley at 7'3". It's just like we paid 10K for this kid like a month ago. It's just funny to see. And then Alec Manoa at 6,600, but I would not touch him with a fucking flagpole.
And
No
you
way.
interested in 7-7 Domingo Germain or Herman, whatever this guy's last name is?
Mm, honestly, I don't know. I usually don't roster him, so
Domingo the wife beater Herman,
yeah, it's usually just a no for me.
the cheer himself. Let's move on to sticks. So we have Houston at Coors, San Fran, Atlanta, Boston, San Diego, Cubs, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Dodgers. The list goes on and on and on. If I'm being honest, pretty much every team I stated, those seem interesting. The only other team I didn't, there's two I didn't mention. White Sox and the Rangers, I find a little interesting pivots. Definitely just minis, nothing to like prioritize really, but what's standing out to you besides Houston?
Yeah, I ranked him Houston, San Fran, Cincy, Padres, Cubs, Braves, Detroit, Baltimore. So like pretty much the same as the tool, just maybe in a little different order here and there. I mean, as for home run spots, obviously Coors, but also Great American Ballpark. Both teams are projecting for 1.8 runs on Ballpark Pal. I like both of those. The Angels again projecting for 1.7 home runs. Mets 1.5. Padres 1.5. Braves 1.5. So those are probably areas I'll start attacking, at least for like pay up options, and then I'll see where the stacks go from there.
So Houston at Coors. You might have to get to a couple of them, I guess. San Fran against Cincy against Luke Weaver. I almost always take Luke Weaver's over strikeout props, and he always fails me. San Fran, both sides honestly look pretty good here. Descalfani has been kind of bad this year, so kind of the same thing we did yesterday. Well, we were contemplating doing a game stack and we didn't, but you can get to either side and be okay. San Diego against Manoa. Manoa's first game back against the Tigers. He had 6 inning pitch. What was it? 8 strikeouts. He went old school on us. Um, Cubs against Corbin look interesting. Patrick Corbin is just free money. Even though I don't like the Cubs, they got some good pieces there. Baltimore against Michael Grove is interesting. Grove has just not been great. So having Baltimore would be a little interesting. His highest fantasy points was 32 back in April. This guy is not gone. He went six one time. That was his last start against the Angels. 6 innings, 4 earned, and got the win. 30 fantasy points. So he hasn't been great. So in Baltimore, being like in the top middle part of the stacks tool is a little interesting. Obviously, some of these teams have better spots. Atlanta against Zach Davies. The one thing I always think about with Zach Davies is like he like just completely cut off his wife. You ever hear that story?
No.
There's like a story. He actually played for the Cubs a while ago. He like got married and then he like got traded to the Diamondbacks or something and just completely dropped his wife. Like just didn't say anything to there was something like that. It's interesting, kind of stupid, but he's also a very bad pitcher. I think she's doing okay with her life. Boston against Medina. Oakland likes to do this thing where they're like, oh, like Medina is a starting pitcher, but then Paul Blackburn is going to open for him, pitch like 2, 3 innings, and then Medina comes in. Obviously, I really don't think anyone's going to roster any Oakland Athletic pitcher, but um, the only like really big pivots I can think of, there's three. Detroit against Daniel Lynch, AL Central, terrible division, critical game for both these teams. So I guess you can get to either side. But Tariq Skubal is on the mound for Detroit. White Sox against Carrasco. I guess Carrasco. I think his last start he was pretty good.
Hmm.
Other than that, he's been up and down. Um, and my White Sox need to make a little comeback if they want to make the playoffs because they're so bad. I actually have a bet on them to make the playoffs, so that's also why I kind of want the White Sox. I think that that's an okay option. I wouldn't prioritize them, obviously. The last stick that I'm finding a little interesting, Texas against Taj Bradley. Bradley's just been on a downward spiral. He's 7,300 as a pitcher. Texas, they haven't been great recently, but they got to turn it around and they probably will soon. I think with a Taj Bradley who hasn't been pitching great, Texas is a good spot to get to. They're pretty expensive to my knowledge, but it's pretty much it. Is there something I missed before
No, I
we?
mean the only team I really didn't talk about was Boston, but you hit on them. I just don't like playing teams in that park. That's why I didn't mention them.
It's not bad. Like if you want like one or two, like one as a one off or a mini stag, go for it. Who cares? But you can get some better options. Um, let's do a lineup generator because why not? All right, we play on Fanduel. What are we thinking?
I think yesterday a 4-2-2 won it. So let's try that. Go balance. And we can skip pitcher.
No, what a shock.
Yep. 30%. Woo.
Oh, look at that. Corey Jolks, 34, Pena, 34. Jesus Christ.
Houston ownership can't be right. 10%.
Holy shit. Well, clearly it makes sense that Dubon, Bregman, Tucker, Diaz, Sox legend Abreu, Jolks. Wu is our most rostered pitcher at the moment. Okay.
Rallying at 25%. Get out of here.
And we do a cycle, 10%. So yeah, right now it's pretty much liking a little bit of Braves, a little bit of Giants, but it's heavy on Houston, and obviously they're playing in Coors, so it makes sense. But I really don't expect anything to change unless I don't know the game gets rained out. But yeah, a little bit of Braves down here. I'm seeing 10% of Tani. couple Angels, couple Cubbies. I kind of forgot Odor played professional baseball, if I'm being honest. His only highlight I know is when he punched Jose Bautista in good old days. But yeah, this is just a tool to kind of get thinking on what it likes and what stacks you should or should not go for. Then you can update or upload this to Fanduel or DraftKings. There's obviously a DraftKings lineup generator, so definitely worth trying out. All right, home run call, lead us in.
All right, gonna go Giant. Gonna go Jock. He's only had 8 on the year, which I found surprising, but I think he goes out today. Then I'm gonna go to automatic Matt Olson, and then Pete Alonso against Giolito.
I'm a fish. Kyle Tucker playing in cores. He's kind of due. I'm gonna go with one of my favorite Reds, Jake Fraley. You've made me a Reds fan, and I'll never forgive you. Last guy, kind of an old reliable, Corey Seager. That should just about do it, unless there's anything else that we missed.
No, just make sure to check out about 10 minutes before lock. I'm trying to get out there for you. Yesterday we actually got out like half an hour before lock, which has never happened. So maybe we'll be on top of our game again today. Make sure to check out Stochastic's tools in our description for the data we just used, and like and subscribe if you haven't already.